Hi everyone, it's Lance here for Best Day Ever Mountain Biking, and today is the best day ever. What is one of the greatest things about mountain biking is the day you take delivery of your brand spanking new mountain bike. Never even seen the dirt before. So let's go and see what I have bought. Okay, so she's under covers. I'll give you a little bit of a clue as to what I've got. It's a Specialized and it's an e-bike. All right, I'll give you my e-bike hating friends time to switch over to watching cat videos, but for the rest of you, let's unveil this thing. Actually, before we unveil it, I think we should probably go through the decision-making process a little bit. I had the choice of both the Levo and the Kenevo, and I test rode them back to back. So let's go and have a look at the process as to how I came to the decision, and then we'll have a look at what I actually bought. Okay, so I've been waiting for the arrival of the new Kenevo, and I got to demo it, and I did this in Tauranga in the Oropi bike park. So we'll start with the Kenevo, test that out, and then we'll move on to the Levo. So here it is, start with the Kenevo. And here it is, the Specialized Kenevo 2020 version. This is the comp model, but it's quite a beast. 180 mils of travel. We've got a Mazzocchi bomber up front with a Mazzocchi bomber coil shock in the rear. 180 mils of travel. That should be good for some serious sending this afternoon. Paired with an NX drivetrain. Got the Bros motor, and this one comes with a 500 watt-hour battery. The Expert model comes with a 700 watt-hour battery and also comes with a set of bomber triple clamp forks. Code brakes, good for stopping. Drop a seat post, looks like a Fusion seat post, and 27.5 wheels, which we may discuss a little bit more later, but looks like a real beast. So time to take it out and see what it's like. Alright, the first thing you notice about the Kenevo is the slack head angle, 65 degrees, very confidence inspiring. Jumped on this thing and immediately felt at home on it. It wasn't like I had to get used to the bike at all. Started on eco at the beginning, sort of tootled around some of the tracks at the bottom, rapidly set it onto the next setting on trail, and by the end of the ride I permanently had it on the turbo or boost setting, the top setting. When you get this bike, you can have an app with your phone and you can actually change the settings to choose how much power you want in each of the settings. I didn't do this on the demo, but certainly whichever bike I choose, I'll definitely be doing this. Now, one thing that I really did like is the power output. Now, I'm just coming through on this track, you come through a little shed. Now, you've got to start slow right up because it's really narrow, and then put the power out, slow up again, and out the other side. Now, the power comes on and off beautifully. It's not like you whack your knuckles as the bike drives you into the doorway. So yeah, tight technical bits. The power comes off. When you want it, it's back on again. It really is brilliant. Now this bike is the 500 watt-hour battery. They also do a Expert model which comes with a 700 watt-hour battery, also comes with a triple clamp fork and a few other up specs. I think I would get the Expert. I always figure the bigger the battery the better. Either go for a longer ride or go for a shorter ride using more power. So that's what I think. One thing that you do need to get used to is this is actually not a light e-bike by any stretch. I think it's about 24 and something kilos, so it's a fairly heavy bike. It's got some good code brakes on it, but you do create a lot of momentum, and sometimes that can surprise you. So you need to allow for the fact that it's going to take more to stop than you would normally expect on your normal bike. But still, yeah, the brakes were pretty good. Now, uphill, it went uphill really well. This thing climbed, despite it being sort of a downhill bike, it didn't climb like a downhill bike. It really climbed very well. The motor, if you listen, is really quite quiet, even putting the power down. So one of the quietest motors I've heard. Really like the motor on this thing, and this is actually quite steep. I can get up here on my normal bike, but it is a bit of a grunt. Still, you know, you're putting some effort in even on an e-bike, but yeah, it performed very well up the hill. even skinnies, technical stuff. I could pretty much do anything on this bike that I would do on my normal bike. Okay, so we're about to hit up some jumps here. Now, if you know my riding, I'm not very good at these sort of tabletop jumps, but it actually jumped very well. I'm not clearing all these jumps. I like to case jumps, that's my style. But it felt pretty good in the air. I think the extra weight, it made it feel pretty stable. So I like this bike. It's a really, really cool bike. Was there anything that didn't go well? Well, yes, the fork wasn't going through its full range of travel, and it was quite noticeable. I took it back to the car and let some air out. This was the amount of sag I had on the fork. Clearly it wasn't going through all its travel, so I took some air out, quite a bit below the recommended amount. It was much better after that. I later found out that there was actually a problem with the fork, and it did go back. So in some ways it's a shame, because my performance of the bike was on a fork that actually did have a fault on it. So, but the rear shock saying that, I didn't think I was using all the travel on that either. I go to do this jump here, and I've done it quite a few times, and I probably was going a bit slow, but I felt like I bounced. It really it shook me up a bit. It was really quite harsh. So yeah, it's a 180 travel bike, but certainly on the day I rode it, it didn't really feel like I was riding 180 mils of travel. I have been waiting for the launch of the Kenevo for a while. I knew it was coming, and I was waiting for this long travel 29er. So I was a little bit shocked when it actually came out as a 27.5. I guess the good thing about a 27.5 is they've got big, strong downhill rims, and you're unlikely to damage them. And I guess that the bike is a little bit more playful with the small wheels. But yeah, I guess I did have my heart set on a 29er. Certainly did like the bike though. I had a great day out on this thing. I like these tracks here in Oropi, but climbing up that hill each time gets a bit tiresome. And the e-bike, I was literally flying up the hill. So had a really great day. Am I going to buy this bike? Well, I might do, pretty keen, but I was keen to just do a comparison and get the old Levo out and try that. So I guess it must be time to demo the Levo. Alright, so the Levo is a 29er, fancied a 29er rather than a 27.5, so I'd be interested to see how this handles. Has the Bros motor. And this one is running the 700 watt hour battery, which is nicely tucked away in that very clean looking down tube. Running a GX drivetrain and Manic seat post by the looks of it, X-Fusion Manic seat post, guide brakes, and what else do we have on this thing? A nice set of RockShox lyrics, and matched at the back with a RockShox deluxe shock on the rear as well. So quite a nicely spec'd out little bike, this one. Okay, so we're away on the Turbo Levo. I must admit, as soon as I got on the Levo, it did feel different to the Kenevo. It's not as slack. I think it's a 66-degree head angle. Wheelbase I think is a little bit shorter. The wheels are obviously larger with the 29-inch wheels, and 150 travel rather than 180. So the bike felt completely different. Also, obviously it's got an air shock on the rear rather than the coil. I must admit, initially it took me a little while to get used to it, but it didn't take long until I really got into the flow of it and really liked the feel of it. It's noticeably lighter than the Kenevo. I think it's nearly 2 or 3 kilos lighter, so this was noticeable. Also, I guess with the less travel, it was poppier. It was easier to jump over things, to get a little bit of air, whereas the Kenevo required a lot more effort and speed to get the thing airborne. In terms of climbing, I think they're almost identical. I couldn't really tell a difference between the Kenevo and the Levo in terms of climbing. They were both very effective climbers, and the motor, well, I guess the motor's the same. It just sounded the same and pretty much worked the same. So there was really no difference between the two of them, I guess, as you would expect. So was there anything I didn't like about the Levo? Well, in all honesty, no. The bike rode beautifully. I had an awesome day. Amazingly enough, I looked at my GoPro on when I was doing this editing, and one of the runs down took me 2 minutes 40 to get from the top to the bottom. I then went back up to the top in 2 minutes flat. Under what will can you ride up faster than you can get down? It was a great day and just literally going up, down, up, down, up, down. So the bike also jumped beautifully. I felt very confident about jumping off things. It felt really well balanced in the air. So yeah, really enjoyed the jumps. Did some tabletops here, the same ones as I did on the Kenevo. To be honest, jumping them was kind of similar. It was a little bit lighter, but on the whole, I guess not hugely dissimilar to the Kenevo in terms of these sort of tabletops. Saying that, my normal riding style is technical, steep, downhill. I'm not a huge jumper. I think if you had the Kenevo, it would definitely be designed for those really big drops, big hits. And simply, I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be doing that. I guess my only concern with the Levo is the 29 rims are not as strong as the Kenevo's downhill rims, and so I have a history of wrecking aluminium rims, and so that would be my only concern is the Levo tough enough not for me to go and end up wrecking those 29 aluminium rims. So the big question is it the Kenevo? Is it the Levo? Which one do I choose? So I guess it's about time that I actually do tell you which one I did choose. All right, so we've officially unveiled the bike and we went for the Levo. We've actually gone for the expert model. It's the carbon model, running with the Fox 36s and the code brakes. So quite a beast. I honestly thought I was going to get the Kenevo when I first saw it come out, but after riding this thing, the big wheels, the playfulness of it, I just really fell in love with riding this thing. So I hope you found the review helpful. I hope you thought my decision was the right one. I think the decision is different for everybody, but it certainly worked for me. And if you want to see how this thing rides, well, you'll have to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.